Hey guys, so sometimes you're looking for information and then you have a lot of it. So what I'm going to talk about today: Venus retrograde, visiting past relationships, the beauty about Venus retrograde, and then I guess the beauty of heartbreak. There is a positive side to this. Anyways, thank you so much for viewing my channel. I decided that while Venus is in its retrograde form and that I'm in those wonderful energies, that I would share the experiences that I have in my life, and I'm going to talk about Venus retrograde. And so this Venus retrograde takes place at the ending of an 8-year cycle, and this goes back to something that's happened back in July and August of 2015. So those are very significant points in my life that I've had to look at, and a kind of relationship I was dealing with that kind of ended, but you know what, it was impossible. But since then, I've had a slew of relationships that were so much better than that very devastating part of that. And so when I was looking back at it, when I looked at the structures of it, it just wasn't possible anyway, and I was becoming someone else. Anyways, I think that I had held a lot of disappointment and certain behavior patterns that triggered me, that I had somehow avoided or tried to had survived the last 8 years of not having them triggered until it actually happened this year, and I'm dealing with that. But it's so much better because I get to analyze it, because in those past years that I've had those relationships, I was just building something else, and so my intention wasn't really on building that specifically. And I could say that I'm part to blame, but nothing's better than knowing that you've had those experiences. They're kind of hurtful if you're going through something like that, but you do get a chance at some point to look back. Someone does come along and kind of in somehow other way, just kind of takes the place of that, and you go for that journey. And yes, I have, because since then I had met someone that I even know up till this day. So that brings me to now. Venus retrograde past lovers is real. And so I've lived a life to know that I can go back to when I was 26 years old, and I'm gonna meet someone that I was deeply in love at 26 and 27 and maybe 28, 29 and maybe 30. I don't know, a good lot of years. And of course I was moving on with my life again. And so that was a big plutonic moment of telling this person, hey, get on board, but they didn't want to. But I'm so happy, because obviously that wasn't something that was going to grow my life into anything, and I didn't see it at that point in time. I was just really so devastated. But the best news ever is that despite being 6, oh my God, it's been about 18 years, and I'm gonna see someone that I was really in love with for 18 years ago. That seems a lot, considering that I'm just someone else anyway. And I'm curious to know what happens. And yeah, but I know I'm ending out a cycle, and maybe I'm going back to the first time that I realized that I had this deep kind of sensitive triggered spot that sort of makes me into something. Understanding that for years I've had Chiron in my 5th house, and knowing that it's something that I viewed at that point as some sort of debilitated kind of of way, and I knew it was always going to pop up in my relationship. I knew it was always going to pop up whenever I was doing something creative and not be able to go through with it completely. And I'm sure a lot of people just wonder, like, what the fuck is wrong with him? Like, why doesn't he just, you know, really pick something? And I picked my soul evolution, if you really want to know the truth. It's not selfish. You know, if you serve yourself, then you can serve other people at a greater capacity, because you're never looking at someone from the perspective of, I should be doing that instead. You know, you do give them that full attention. I also have Venus at 0 degrees in my north node, so that usually means what you come here to do on this earth, and Virgo has to do with the purification of things, you know, the separating the goat from the sheep. It's a real discrimination kind of a sign, but it's about purification. And so me at 0 degrees, yes, every single thing that I come to in my life, I try to clear it up, clean it up, make some structure out of it, and I'm okay with that. You know, am I perfect? No. But my intentions are, and what I make the structures do. And I do a hell of a lot to make sure that whatever it is that I do is fair, you know, fair to myself, even though a lot of years I really haven't been putting myself as first as I should. And I'm sure that's probably a lot of degree levels. But I'd like to say my Chiron in my 9th house this year had happened, and so I remember being so inquisitive about what would happen in Chiron in the 9th house. I'm sorry, Chiron in my 5th house, where Jupiter comes over it, because it's in Taurus at 9 degrees. That's where the 9 comes from. And it did pass over it. And it was definitely one of the most painful things that I have experienced, because Jupiter had now magnified everything. And you know, I found myself into this really outpouring of myself. And this is the first time that I can actually give like an account of what Jupiter and Chiron. Of course, it has to go back to its second phase of retrograde and its final pass for me to give like a full review of like what happened in those times. But I would say this: it truly magnified almost every single issue I would actually have when it comes to that triggered sensitive point. And in some ways, I feel like maybe I faced a fear and I've went down, and in some ways, you know, I've had to reflect that outwardly. Sometimes a person that's triggered me, whether they did it or whether or not, and that's the other thing too with current triggers. That person doesn't always know what it is that they're doing to you when they're doing it, and they're probably so innocent, only to find out that, you know, you've been triggered by something, and if you don't know what it is, you'll never be able to explain that to someone. But anyways, I also study the Sabian symbols, and the Sabian symbols for the 9th degree represents a Christmas tree, and it's really significant that I get that as its meaning, because it's really helped me to turn around what it is. And a Christmas tree is something that it's the only tree alive that is in from the winter, if you're in the northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere, at different times. And you know, in these winter months, it's sort of like a cheer. It sort of brightens up the bleak winter. And so I've realized that I can be a balm for pain for myself and for others. And with my Virgo at North Node, I seem to know what it is that could heal that while that balm is on there. And I realize that's my value in what's gone on in my life, is that you know, I guess at some point in time, the right person in my life would care to know what it is that really triggers me, and I would probably just let them know what that is too as well. And if they're willing to just understand that that's what it is, then, you know, I could possibly, you know, have some sort of long-term commitment instead of these past lovers that reappear in Venus retrograde over decades. God, you know, that's what the sun's coming out. You know, that's really amazing. Today is the first day of school here in Bal Harbor, Miami. And so no one's on the beach because that's there, which is great for me.
City of Seagold.
And they're probably just so happy. I hope you can see them. They're such a great background. You know, the funny thing is that they're never triggered by me. Anyway, I'd like to say the best news about heartbreak in general, and if you could ever take it, I know it's a lot of devastation and people do this and blah blah blah, but and it's rough when it happens to you. I mean, it's rough when it happens to me. I do believe that you get a chance to put the pieces back together, but you get to put the pieces back together in a way that you would prefer to. And that's the best news about having these moments that do break you down, because you do come back. And I've noticed in my life now, a lot of the people who I thought have devastated me, and I've just either stopped talking to them for a little while or just whatever, eventually when things cooled off, they would return to find out just exactly what happened or what they did, and or just whatever. I've just realized that whoever I was prior to that moment really mattered to them, and so they get to understand like what not to do to me, you know. It is what it is, you know, unfortunately. But they've always it's worked out better. So I've had a handle on it. So I don't teach astrology, and I'm not gonna be someone who's gonna put up some graph for you to look at and just try to, like, that's not my job, you know. If you like astrology, go get yourself a wonderful chart and learn about your shit. So when people like me speak to you, you'd be able to just map your life. This is a navigation tool. This is something that you can use as a background information for what it is that you do, but it's not really a learning chart thing. You know, that's on your own. You know, these are wonderful chats that you can. It's astrology working with you on a daily basis, and how it is that it's a tool of self-discovery, and that self-discovery tool helps you to solve almost every problem. And it's not a predictive it can be predictive, but it really should come from a perspective of like what it is that your soul's journey is on, because you fix things from a core level, and then your outer world changes to fit this new thing that you do. So there are some people in life that they just believe that they can just use your mouth to make people just do what they want, because they don't want to do the hard work of relating on a core level. They prefer to just not go there. They're doing such a bad self-injustice, because they take away the adventure of knowing what it's like to have someone receive you out of the notion of their self, you know, and your energy. All that to say is, like, don't be afraid to do the work of being vulnerable with yourself and with others, because sometimes that is the truth, you know. And it needs to be said that you are at this point. That's one point of Venus in retrograde, is that how vulnerable are you to yourself and others, and are you fearful of being that way? Yes, people fuck you up. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this. I hope you get to enjoy your Venus retrograde. I hope that you give these past lovers a chance to give themselves, to express themselves to you, or you express themselves to them. Maybe it's something that solves a problem for them, you know, even though you're not going there again, and then they're very sure that you're probably not going there again either. Just because you've changed into someone else, you know. But sometimes you're a gift to all those wonderful people, and certainly I'm so happy that I still have them as well. You know, they really are a part of me that they're still available, that I can be myself with at this point in time because they've seen me every place of my life except for this happy person that I am, you know. Anyway, have a wonderful Wednesday. I'm gonna have. I actually ended up finding two wonderful animals that wanted to speak today from this wonderful book. I love it. Actually, I've come to realize, like, starting to do this, and selfishly, I'm just, this is my thing, you know, but I'm just sharing it with the world. But I definitely believe, though, that if you did find this, that for sure this is something that's useful to you. And anyways, so on my beach walk today, it happened to be the wonderful. I was looking down most of the time when I was doing my walk, and I'm not really looking for anything. Honestly, I'm just doing my walk. It's just whatever. It's whatever that just kind of sticks out to me. It's basically whatever inspires me is what I'm taking stock for the day, and that's kind of like. Anyways, so. It happened to be this, and I've seen this feather before. I just didn't know where it came from, but today I did because I saw them next to these feathers. So it happens to be a seagull feather, and it says to behave. I definitely think that's for me. It says adjust your behavior and how you communicate. Do not force or argue your way into anything new for success. I think that's a lot to digest. I definitely feel like I can benefit from that wonderful advice. And I was sitting down and I was chilling out here and I don't know, just reflecting on something. And then it happens to be the heron here. And he's right over there, he's green. And it says be assertive. It says assert yourself when opportunities appear. Change is coming anyway, so act with self-reliance. Take advantage of changes. So this new moon definitely has a message. I believe that heron really does kind of like fit the moment. So to be assertive with the opportunity, that means that we become ready. You know, a while back I was just thinking about how that there were a few stories that I remember from my Bible days, and it's about these virgins that are waiting with the oil for their person to appear, and some of the women ran out of oil because they didn't prepare for this person to come into their lives or whatever. But preparation was everything, you know. And then another story would be that Aretha Franklin in 1998 had an opportunity to sit in for Pavarotti to sing Nessun Dorma, and no one in the world thought that, you know, she, you know, was even interested in singing something like that. Let's just say it that way. But could still do a good Aretha Franklin spin on something, you know, and made it sound good and still give its elements. And it was really good for Aretha's career at that point in her career because, you know, she had done it all, and these were just parts of herself that she still enjoyed doing, you know. I'm sure making some extra money that she would love to make. But the thing is that even Sting comes on to say on that Grammy Award performance that at a moment's notice she listens to the track of what that orchestra would be playing, and kind of like went in and said that she was going to do it, and it was just, you know, 3 nights before she sang it at a foundation care just to sing a song, you know, that she loved to sing, and 2 days later it became her biggest opportunity of something that she was preparing for. So preparation is definitely something, because it's saying change is coming anyway, so act with this feather's trying to fly away. With self-reliance, take advantage of changes. Exactly. It's coming. This feather's ready to fly. It's ready to take this thing. And I'm going to go back to the second message over here. I feel so good about it. I don't know how like these animals started to really speak to me, but one day I got the book, then I realized like, you know what, they really do have like um, in the moment thoughts that could be could totally be anything. The seagull, behave, adjust your behavior and how you communicate. Don't force or argue. So basically it's telling me to shut up and wait. Or any of us. So all I'll just say is this: if you know exactly what it is that you've done, if you know what it is that you've put into what it is that you put into, then you should definitely expect something amazing.